Gadina it is with service. Just 20 years of age. Very young Russian squad. Karpov has Sydney in his sights. And with this kind of play, there's absolutely no reason why not.
This is very clever stuff from the Croatians, and in particular Jelic. She's now had a couple of hits. Well, she's looking to the ceiling there, but I believe she's a great hitter. She's a very clever hitter, and again, using this Russian block, tooling one out over the sideline.
Seems to have a fantastic relationship with her father, who is the national team coach, continually communicating.
Good kill, big high set through the middle, and up very early, Morozova killing that one cross-court.
Advantage back with Russia. Still leading 2-1. One set to love.
Missed call from the Croatians, and they had to feed a free ball, and Arteman over there pointing out that it did in fact touch the blocker's hands, and the first official agrees with her. Yep, over and off the top of the fingers.
3-1 to Russia. Batutkina with a service.
Clever stuff again, using these blockers' hands. If you can't go over them and round them, then why not hit off the hands and make it tough for the defenders? And the Russians don't like this. They're being made to work to get the ball into transition play. They want the ball hit to them, and they're being made to work to move around the court.
And Zulovic cannot afford mistakes like that. Side outs are few and far between, and they need to convert as many as possible. Doesn't mean to tell anybody that, but that's the kind of frustration that took their concentration away in the first set. Advantage back with Russia. They now go 4-1 ahead. And this is how the Croatians seem to get a little downhearted, Simon, and allows the Russian to score points at incredible speed.
Yes, indeed. Jelic just forgetting herself then and hammering the ball through the middle, and there is no way past. They should have learnt that by now.
Morozova again with service.
Forcing it down inside the blocker this time, and Tichenko just not closing over the net, and consequently travelling down between her arms as she doesn't penetrate. Yep, down the front of her shirt. Costly service errors for the Croatian team. They've got to keep the service in court. They've got to keep it deep.
Arteman over again with this big service.
Fine play, Gadina, you can see how far she gets over. That's all her arms and most of her head above the net height as she reaches. But the Croatian middle player just waiting, and Kuzmanic coming outside and off her hands.
Sidorenko.
Gracheva this time showing that she's got a bit of experience as well, going on the second touch and not having to use the big hitters, and Kuzmanic this time stranded. Is Gracheva with service. Very wild hitting. The reverse slide there needed to bite the hands, but because the penetration is so far over the net, there is a small target to aim off and get out over the baseline. Well, the camera's looking to Jelic to call a timeout there. Didn't do just that, and Gracheva, well, an uncharacteristic service error, gives the advantage back with the Croatians. Well, in the second set, 3 service errors each. If they'd have converted all of those, the scoreboard will be a completely different story. There's the mistake again from the Croatians, and side out advantage back with Russia. A little scrappy right now. There's some nerves out there, obviously, Simon. Yes, indeed, and neither side getting into their rhythm. And the disappointing thing for Croatia is that they have a real chance here to put the Russians under pressure, and they can't get the ball into play. And another great finish. 3 women in the Russian block going up, and there's just no option. That's their best blocking lineup. Where do you go? Jelic choosing to go hard and getting roofed. And the Croatian coach choosing to wait till his side were trailing by 5, 6 points to 1. 10 minutes into the second set. Russia in the driving seat and control once again, having already claimed the first set, 15 points to 7. Swiss referee begins play once again. That's too long from Tichenko. It's just what the Croatians needed, and justifies the calling of that timeout by Jelic, the Croatian coach. Now 7 puts the ball into play. Kuzmanic for the Croatians in blue. High free ball now. Let's see what the Russians can do with this. This is what they want. And a great stop from the Croatian blockers there, just waiting on that middle attack, and Sebukina reaching in, the former Soviet player, just understanding what Morozova was going to do and going into the angle and finishing. And Tichenko there, just first one to react, sorry, Batutkina, first one to react and double jumping to get back and kill that one off after the block.
Russia still have the 4-point advantage. Elena Godina with service.
Well played again from the Croatians, and they're running several different plays at the moment, and they're trying to keep the ball quick. They're trying to pressure these Russian middle blockers, and at the moment it's working. And there we see Karpol in action. That's the first time we've seen him lose it at this championships.
Well, for those of you not familiar with our Mr. Karpol, he's a real entertainer from the bench, and he's renowned for throwing clipboards and many a tantrum, and he's not happy with the way his team are playing, and the Croatians are coming back at the Russians in this second set now.
That's not going to make him any happier. Artemanova drilling that one out over the sideline.
Jelic again with service. Too long, well left, well read by the Russians.
Another costly error for Croatia. They've got to get the ball into play. I don't know how many times we have to say this. It's so vital for them.
Batutkina with service.
And called as 4 touches off the net band, coming back into play, and the Croatians playing it for a 4th time, and you're only allowed 3 touches on your side of the net.
7-3 to Russia, 1 set to love. These will be important points now if they can take themselves to 10.
Fine reverse feed, Jelic coming out of the back line and hitting very hard off Artemanova's hands. And that's the weakest part of Artemanova's game. It's her block. Doesn't position her hands particularly well.
And Zulovic with service for Croatia.
Jelic again, coming out and hammering. Artemanova is having a poor patch, and I don't know who else they've got to go to in this particular rotation. And Jelic out of the back line, this time going cross-court for the kill. Finally having to go back line to Godina. They don't want to use her from that position too much, but coming through and doing a fantastic, experienced hitting job.
Important side out for Russia there to maintain a clear advantage.
Great reuse and hammer there, and Godina just overpassing, but that was too tight to the net for the Croatians to react to. That's a shame.
Maintains a 4-point advantage for the Russians, now 8-4. Morozova with service.
Again, Jelic out of the baseline, and she's just hit wide of Artemanova's hand. She was going fully for the touch off the hands, and just missing over the sideline.
Unfortunate there, but Morozova now takes the Russians to 9. Service error. Could do without those. Both sides are having their fair share, an indication of the pressure, an awful lot at stake for this 1997 European title.
Great kill from Artemanova. The Croatian team are doing a very good job at the net with their blocking. They're doing what's called touch blocking, and as Steve Timmons, the former USA international, used to say, that was the silent assassin. It doesn't get recorded on the stats, but it stops the ball, it slows the ball up consistently, and they're doing a great job of this at the moment, and that's what's affected the Russian hitters. But Godina there getting a free hit against Kirilova, the smallest player on court, and making no mistake that time, hard hit into baseline.
Very difficult to defend this jump serve by Artemanova. Timeout is called, 10-4. Interesting to note that it's the Croatians that are obviously calling these timeouts, not Karpov, primarily because he needs to, I would imagine, Simon, keep readjusting the tactic.
Yes, he does, and there he's getting on the case of the Russians, and he's trying to push them to new heights in this game.
You see by the timing, the minutes underneath the scores there, Croatia putting up a much stronger challenge than the first, but they need to stop Artemanova now.
Great kill, again using the Russian block hands, and they really are taking their time over this, the Croatians. They're thinking this through. If there's a tough block up there, then they're not hitting hard. If there's a little bit of space in the block, then they're going for the fingers, and they're just going for it all out, and it's working for them now.
Former Russian international now with the Croatian side. Sidorenko puts the ball into service.
Over the setter this time going through, and as we said in games this week, the setters love to have a hit, and that time going off Godina, the best blocker at this tournament, outside and over the sideline.
Kirilova will be very happy with that, like the server Sidorenko, 31 years of age. Played in the Olympic Games for the former USSR, but immediately the Russians come back.
Beautiful finish there from Tichenko, going outside on a very quick C reverse slide, off one leg and hitting back across court.
The Russian setter, Tatiana Gracheva, with that loop serve.
And Jelic right up and over the top, the tallest player on the Croatian court. High set, drawn inside, but doesn't matter for her. Straight over the top of the block. That's maybe something they can look to use in this match.
Kirilova with service. Still trailing by 5, the Croatians.
Good communication from the Croatians. The setter, Kirilova, was stranded in backcourt, and Anzulovic, the opposite player, took the set out to Jelic, and she knew it wasn't a good set, so she just worked it off the hands again for the point.
Once again, looking to come back in the mid part of the set. That looked to be long, but it was taken nonetheless.
And straight over the top from Godina. Nice high ball and tight to the net, and when she uses her jump, puts her back into it, she can go over anybody on this court.
Advantage back with Russia.
The Croatians are passing very, very well now. The Russians have run out of ideas on the serve, so consequently the ball's coming into Kirilova, and she's making mincemeat of this Russian block, and that's a fine kill there from Kuzmanic.
It's Kuzmanic who now serves. And the Croatians looking the better side, albeit still trailing by 4 points. Artemanova gets the Russian side out once again. The same height as Godina, just a centimetre smaller, 6'3". That's 190 centimetres of height, and taking or using full advantage of it there. Godina serves.
Good finish again. 3 Russian women in the block, and this time Jelic using the outside hands of Artemanova. Artemanova not penetrating the net and allowing the ball to come off her and down into the Russian space.
Barbara Jelic now needs some accurate power jump serving to try and put Croatia back into the second set. That's too much. A little overzealous. Way too deep. Side out advantage back with the Russians. Leaving the Croatians 10-6 and 1 set to love. Battle Kikina with service.
Up to Jelic, and she does a great job again off the blocker's hands, and Morozova and Artemanova are not having a good time out there in front court, and this is putting the Russians under a lot of pressure, something they haven't had in this tournament to date.
Anzulovic, forced service error, and she's having more than her fair share. You can see, you don't need to be a mind reader to see how frustrated she is with that. That would have been a vital point score for the Croatians. The advantage now back with Russia. Morozova is the server.
Oh, that was so delicate from Jelic. She realised very early on that the set wasn't there to be hit, and she saw that Artemanova had still jumped. Consequently, there was a space behind her, and just off the top of the net for a bit of luck.
Shivukina with service. Again, the Russian side out, Artemanova.
Well, they're not playing well at the moment, and boy, would I not like to play this well on a regular basis, week in, week out. It's interesting to note that Godina's favourite all-time player is Artemanova, and there are great similarities between these two players. that is great work from the Croatian setter. First of all, she goes on a fake and gets one of the Russian jumpers to go with her, and then next she just fakes to go wide and brings it middle for the kill. Great stuff from Croatia.
Kirilova really taking on the role as playmaker. They win the side out. Sidorenko now with service.
Oh, and finally they get a roof on Artemanova. Until then it had all been touch blocking, but the two tallest players on the Croatian side, Kuzmanic and Jelic, getting over the net to penetrate and finish inside the 3-metre line.
Coming back, certainly playing the better volleyball, the Croatians.
And a mix-up this time with the Russian middle player and the Russian setter, and that forcing Tichenko to try and tip the ball, but she's been called for a carry.
And one feels that that will be a call, timeout from Karpol, because the Croatians are battling their way back into this match. They have the advantage at 8-10 and are playing fine volleyball. Well, this is what the man is famous for. When he's not happy with his players, he certainly lets them know. And Simon, Nikolai Karpol has just given them an absolute grilling.
That was a roasting and a half, and I'm not sure how many players in other countries would stand there and take that sort of abuse, because it isn't technical information, it is all-out abuse, and he's imploring them to play their game, he's imploring to play how he's taught them, and he clearly feels they're not doing that.
Sidorenko with service for Croatia. See if the Russians can come back, and that's their first opportunity to try and draw clear once again. Karpol clearly stating that all the hard work in the early part of this second set put to waste in the past 10 minutes, maybe 8. Gracheva now with service. A 2-point advantage still with the Russians.
And Kuzmanic there, raising her fists and going through the net for a bit of afters with the Russian blocker, because she demolished Godina on that hit. That was fine side-out play.
Team captain for Croatia is having a fantastic second set. Kirilova with service for Croatia. Immediately the Russian side out.
It's great. You think Croatia are getting into this game, and then the Russians just give you a little sting just to remind you what they're capable of. What a kill.
And of course the sting is they have taken the first set as well. Tichenko now with service for Russia.
And there's that safety hitter for the Russians. As soon as they're under pressure, then they go back court to either Artemanova or Godina. This time it's Artemanova, and she comes through with a little tip over the top of the block for the kill.
Artemanova read that one well. 11-8. Tichenko with service once again.
Great pass from the Croatians, and Jelic is coming into her own now. She looked very confident at the start of this game, and I couldn't see where she was going to get past the block, but she's found her angles and she's working very well.
Kuzmanic now puts that one too deep. Possibly an area after this match the Croatians will reflect on the number of service errors, and that's at a crucial part of the second set. Side out advantage back with Russia. Godina puts the ball into play. Her service is too long.
Definitely, Karpol is looking more and more disgruntled from the bench, and we can hear him yelling. We can hear him yelling in the background. This is incredible stuff.
Jelic with service, opting not to use the jump serve.
Wild hit and out over the baseline. There's no need for the Russians to do this, but the main problem for them is the fact that Gracheva has got nervous, she's got tight. The Russian setter is now delivering balls that are drawing the hitters into the block.
Fire in her eyes there, Barbara Jelic, now just 2 behind.
Wow. That's what we've talked about. Gracheva, if she can't get wide, she's got to go tight, and Artemanova and Godina can go up and over the top. They can probably clear the block by about a foot on every occasion.
Classic examples of the key role of the setter within the sport of volleyball. Batuchkina now.
Clever leave and a very quick B attack in the middle, and Kirilova is working wonders for Croatia. Fast set, and that's too quick for Morozova, the Russian blocker.
Maybe that's what's upsetting Gracheva.
And this time they've roofed Artemanova. She's claiming that was out over the sideline, but that quite clearly hit her. And a roof back into your own face is the most horrible thing to happen in volleyball, and that gets her right on the schnozzer.
Well, they're just 1 point behind now. This to level the scores. And Zulovic has had a fair share of service problems, but that's a good one.
And another key example of Croatia drawing the player in, and 3 women on the block for Croatia, and the inside hands strong and powerful, forcing it down back into Russian court.
Timeout is called. It's 11-all, 27 minutes. This second set is now being played on, and one feels that Nikolai Kopol will begin his antics once again, screaming and shouting at his side that he's not quite happy with. Well, Russia had a 5-6 point advantage earlier on in this second set. They've let the Croatians come right back into this game, and most importantly, Simon, have given the Croatians self-belief, confidence in their game now.
Yes, indeed. They were worried that their game pattern wasn't working, and when the game's slipping away from you, it's tough to stay with what your coach is telling you. But a couple of points in this set, and all of a sudden they're back in, and they really think they were in with a chance.
And they have the advantage of service. And Zulovic now, the 28-year-old Croatian, looking to take the lead for the first time in this match thus far.
Well, amazing there, set behind to Jelic, and Jelic just losing a bit of pace as she came in, not killing her. And they're smiling because the wrong player took the ball for the set, and that put the Croatians under pressure.
Morozova with service now.
Well, Kirilova, we've said it time and time again, she is working wonders, and she put that one on a plate for Sebukina, and it was a case of get up there, have a look around, and yep, let's hammer it straight down.
It is Sebukina who looks to take Croatia ahead.
Again, they're having to rely on extreme power, and that's hit Jelic right in the windpipe. There was a nasty incident a year ago when a player nearly died on court when the windpipe collapsed because the ball is hit so hard.
Artemanova, it's still all level at 11-all.
And there's Godina reaching over the net and shutting the lights out. It's been a while since we've seen her have a chance for a block, and this time reverse slide too tight, and straight down on the floor.
Valuable point score for the Russians, 12-11.
Great play from the Croatians, superb pass, fantastic middle back distribution, and Jelic getting a long run up at this one, kind of lumbers into the ball, but finishes with such a hammer.
And equal power as Artemanova and Godina, and Jelic and Kirilova are really having a startling match. Sidorenko now with service for the Croatians, looking to level the scores again. Doing just that, 12 apiece.
And Kuzmanic and Jelic have done that several times now to Artemanova. They've got her number, and that is again superb Croatian blocking.
Well, the substitutions are being prepared by the Russians. Will they be on in this the second, or will they try and take it the third? That's a good side out for the Russians, very important. Right down the line from Godina.
Fantastic kill from her, choosing just to hit across her body, and there's no reply to that sort of power.
Gracheva, who perhaps could be the weak link in the Russian side right now with service.
Reverse slide again, and Kuzmanic is having a great second set, and she's just controlled the hit back across court. She cuts the ball very well, puts extra spin on it, gets it inside the line.
32 years of age, a lot of experience. Runner-up in this competition 2 years ago. Kirilova has done a superb job to bring the Croatians back into this match, but they need to finish this set off.
Clever kill. This time the Russians going on a fake front play, so the middle player jumping up and taking the blocker. That leaves one-on-one outside and a good finish.
Tichchenko.
Jelic this time going back to the power game, and she should have learnt from earlier on in the match. And Batutkina, the Russian captain and middle blocker, getting her hands across and finishing that. Great kill.
Gives them a 2-point advantage, the Russians. 13-12, 1 point by mistake.
Yeah, and that's not worked for them. They're using that too many times, this reverse slide, and Godina is too good a blocker to keep going against her and so tight to the net.
Set ball to go 2-love up for the European title of 97. Tivchenko it is again with service.
Jelic just lacking jump height, couldn't go past the Russian blocker for a third time.
The hardest test so far for the Russians in this tournament, but they've still managed to hold tight, dig in deep and claim set 2. A complete different story from that of the first, where it was 15-7 in 17 minutes, almost double the time, 32 minutes, 15-12. Russia go up 2-love, but some good play from the Croatians, who really are now starting to get the measure of this Russian side, Simon, but maybe just a little too late.
Definitely too late, and as the players get more and more tired, they're going to start to lose jump height, and that's really going to affect them, especially Jelic attacking through the wing. It's going to be a lot of pressure on her, but Kuzmanic played well there, and Kirilova, the setter, is having a fantastic game.
Russia lead Croatia 2-0 in this, the European Championship final. Croatia now on the verge of losing the title unless they can claim the next set. Claimed 12 points there, and to take the timing of that second set to 32 minutes, but are yet to take the lead in this match over Russia. Let's just bring you up to date with a few of the other final results that were played out prior to this final. The Czech Republic beats Bulgaria to claim third position, Bulgaria 4th, Italy 5th, Poland 6th, the Ukraine 7th, Latvia 8th. Now, for first and second position, there is no question that Croatia must win this set, otherwise it is a 3-0 victory for the Russians. Well, Russia have dropped just one set in the semi-finals, and in the preliminaries, I should say, to Belarus. So they are beatable, they are stoppable, and we've seen the Croatians seriously unsettle their game. Gachenko puts the ball into play, and what the Croatians must stop is this very quick-scoring early part to both the first and the second sets, which have given the Russians so much confidence.
Great kill again from Kirilova. She dominated that rally with 2 fantastic scrambling sets, and that time goes up for the joust. Very cleverly touches the ball just in front of the Russian blocker and pushes it through Godina's hands.
Very lucky not to be penalised for a possible hold there, but winning the service for the Croatians. It's Kirilova again in the heart of the action.
Jelic, immense power to force that off the top of the Russian block and nice and deep into court. And if the Croatians can get their side-out heads on, they could be thinking about a 5-setter here and wearing this Russian team down.
Well, that's the first time that Croatia have taken the lead, albeit just 1-0. Great play.
Oh, superb kill. Finally, Godina decides to take the ball a little bit earlier and a little bit higher. She's been hitting too late for me in this game. She's hitting down into the block, but that time she takes it on full extension and kills the ball.
Side out. Service advantage back with the Russians, but for the first time trailing just by 1 point to Croatia.
Well, forced over, tight ball on the net, and the Russian blocker's not reacting to that one, and Anzulovic just jumping and pushing it into mid-court for the kill.
Well read by Anzulovic, giving the advantage back to the Croatians.
Another great angle there, this time from Batutina, the captain, and she just waited for the Croatian blockers to go up and hit very, very hard cross-court towards the 3-metre line, and that's a great kill.
Staying very calm, Batutina. Godina it is with service now. Still looking for their first score in this third set, but as you see from the graphic, 2 sets to love, and there the Russians level the score. Batoktina it is again, doing all the work on the block.
The Croatians have got to be sensible. They lost the last set because they forgot their game plan and they tried to hit their way out of trouble. If they kept just rolling the ball around and tipping, they'd have been okay, and a demonstration there of the power of this Russian block. Kill again, and Jelic has been given a hitting line. This is quite obvious. Her dad has said where she needs to hit. She's hitting hard off the top of the block and down the line, and the Russian defenders playing this short person up behind the block means they can't deal with it.
Barbara Jelic, unquestionably the star attacker for the Croatians.
And a carry being called there on Morozova, put under pressure after a bad Russian pass and just flapping underneath the ball, and gets called for the fault.
Jelic takes the Croatians into the lead once again.
Beautiful defence from both sides, and that sets up a Russian attack, but what a kill block from Sidorenko. Back into Godina's feet and hits Morozova, the blocker.
Croatia now, for the first time in this match, looking the better side, 3-1.
Again, a mistake, just getting lost in the air there as the Croatian hitter span round, couldn't quite sight where the ball was, and Sidorenko just making the handling error. I'm not sure how long Gracheva, the Russian setter, is going to stay on court, because she's putting her hitters under a tremendous amount of pressure by dragging them in towards the block. Jelic hitting freely now, this time out of the back line, and she has a very fine arm on her when she gets the swing going. Waits for the one blocker to go up and demolishes that onto the baseline.
Incredible power, and Zurovic again with a service error.
This is going to kill the Croatians. That must be into double figures for a service error now, and in the second set that certainly finished them off.
And the mistakes are coming in the key or vital parts of the first set. Just out of trouble there for the Russians.
Well, again a high ball, again the Russians can't put it away, and Kirilova waits for the overfeed, and she comes on and off the net very, very quickly indeed. Waits for this overpass and hits straight down for the kill.
Kirilova again alongside Jelic, really reveling in this European Championship atmosphere. The crowd really are ecstatic, perhaps sensing that this one could go all the way to 5.
Beautiful mobility from the Croatian backcourt there, keeping the ball alive in transition. And there the Russian blocker, Morozova, collapsing onto the floor and falling across the centre line, and that means a fault is called.
Superb volleyball, thoroughly entertaining, both sides giving 100%, but Croatia picking up yet another valuable point score. Now 4-1.
Very quick second touch played over from the Russians, and Gracheva there using that very, very sensibly indeed, and then just barking out the instructions for the next attack and the next block to her players.
Artumanova.
Artumanova looking at her fellow player. She wanted that ball played into the air for her to hit, and it consequently dropped only a couple of feet from her. So surely an error there from the Russian defence.
Looking a little despondent for the first time. Smiling faces have disappeared. Sidorenko looking to maintain. Oh, that's disappointing. Again, Simon, as you've pointed out many times, the service error statistic will be really quite frightening for Croatia. And if you consider that it's plus 10 now, the story could be completely different in this third set.
Oh, fine kill. The problem is the Croatians are working so hard, because Manic there, coming on the reverse slide, and just killing the Russian blockers, leaving them for dead. And then they're going back to the service line and putting it in the net.
Let's see if Kirilova can get the focus and concentration in for these Croatians. That's a nice, long, deep serve.
And a kill over the baseline there, an attempted kill, I should say, and that gives the point finally to the Croatians. And that wasn't a particularly brilliant serve, it was deep, that's all they need to do.
Kirilova takes them 4 points clear of the Russians.
And a fine finish on the reverse slide from Tichenko. High and wide, waits for the blockers to post across court, and very cleverly hits down the line.
Tichenko who takes up service for Russia.
Jelic trying to hammer through that block, and she's learnt a couple of times in this match the Russian block is supreme. It's one of the best blocks in the world, and reaching over their 3 pairs of hands and straight down. Good save from Kirilova, but Jelic this time putting it over the blocker's hands and out of court, and she's really got to get her hitting game back together. That's a couple of poor errors from Jelic.
3-5. Russia forcing their way back into this third set. 4-5, very important, quick point scores. And this is what happened in the first set, Simon. They scored at an incredibly fast rate and just seemed to be able to capitalise when the Croatians start to feel or look a little despondent.
Yes, indeed, yeah. They get in there, they wait for the opportunity to kill, and then they get in there quick and they get in there tough.
Well, Karpov will not be happy with that service error from Tichenko. That could have levelled the scores at 5 apiece. An opportunity for the Croatians to maintain their lead now. 5-4, just the advantage.
Now over the sideline, and he's called a touch. Godina has luckily just managed to catch the Croatian blocker's hands, and not even she thought that was a touch.
He was there ready to start defending, and that's caused some whistles from the crowd. And also Kirilova to have a few words with Jan Rek, the Swiss referee here for this European final. He's standing by his word. And it is now Godina with service, looking to level the scores.
Clever from Kirilova, faking to go outside, but she knew where her hitter was. Jelic, the go-to hitter, she is set almost exclusively by this Croatian side, and this time it's a 2-metre ball in the middle.
Puts the advantage now back with Croatia. 21 wins to her name. And if she gets her way, there'll be a lot more added to that score before this match is over.
Clever, big jump from Artemanova, and you could see the Croatian defenders back on their heels waiting for the big hit, and just tips it over, and there's no way you can deal with that as a defender.
Batuktina, Russian captain, again looking to level it at 5-all. But the Croatians, remember, 2 sets to love down.
Great pass, and Sebukina yet again gets a real honey set from Kirilova, who's having a storming game, and just chooses to go straight down past the Russian blockers.
Anzulovic.
Oh wow, Artemanova. She's been under pressure this game, but they've kept going to her, and Gracheva's held faith with her. She's not delivered good ball. 3 blockers and straight over the top.
Classic championship volleyball, both sides trading side-outs.
Another fine flat hit from Jelic, and that's what she's got to do. As soon as she gets up and hits down, the Russian blockers have got a chance. If she keeps flat and hard, she's coming off their hands almost every single time. Artemanova again, set 2, again the big high jump, and this time the Croatian blockers just stumbling and going into the net for the net touch.
No change in score. 23 wins to Artemanova. She's had a superb championship.
This is clever work again from the Croatians. This time the middle player going on the reverse slide, and she's had Kuzmanic has had a lot of opportunities to play that ball, but this time Kirilova going to the back line, and again Jelic delivers.
Always looking to her coach and her father, of course, taking information on every play.
Reverse slide again, killed by Tichenko. She's been an absolute master at this during this game. Going wide to the wing, one-on-one, and she's not going to make any errors with that finish.
Still trading side outs, no change in the score. Russia 4, Croatia 5, but Russia lead 2 sets to love. A tip ball there. Clever move again from the Croatians.
Clever again from Kirilova, getting a great pass in and choosing not to go with the hitters, choosing to go on the second touch for the kill.
And it is the Croatian team captain, Kirilova, looking to take his side 2 points clear of the Russians. Must win this third set, remember.
Oh, high set to Godina, and the Croatians touched that. That should have been brought up in defence, but it wasn't. Hard hit off the top of the hands of the blocker, and unfortunately the defender already committed to ground.
Tichenko now with service.
That's the first decent pass poor pass we've seen from the Croatians, and the Russians making no mistake in finishing that off with the block at the net.
Levelling the score, 5-all. Now let's hope that that's not the end of the Croatian challenge.
Well, again we see the Croatian defenders going down very, very early and reacting too early to that shot. The block slowing the ball up, and consequently they'd already gone the other way for the shot.
For the first time in the third set, Russia now take the lead, 6-5. They've already claimed both sets 1 and 2. If this one goes their way, they'll be the European champions of 1997. Still a lot of work to be done.
Well, they're giving Jelic a break there, quite deliberately giving her a break to try and rest her, get her head back in the game, but she comes back there and blows another one out the back of court.
Trying just too hard. 7-5 now for Russia.
But forces that one through. Well, that's gutsy play from Jelic, because she's having a real tough time out there. But she's the only hitter the Croatians have really got, and they keep going to her, and she keeps trying to come up with the goods for them.
Sticking with the tactic, Kuzmanic now with service.
Superb play from the Croatians to get the ball into transition, but the blockers there for Russia reaching over the net and closing very, very nicely to finish. Great kill with the block across court.
The Russian defense now knowing that just about every attack will come from Jelic, and getting plenty of time to prepare. Elena Godina with service. Oh, and that's an ace, and couldn't have come at a better time.
Oh, that's a beautiful service, and that's just what they needed. Taking a lot of pressure off them, and it's put a lot of doubts in the Croatian passers' minds.
8-5 now to Russia.
Trying again that slide in the middle, and Jelic this time unfortunately missing over the sideline. Consequently, point to Russia.
Point to Russia, 9-5. Timeout is called by the Croatian coach. His side once again finding themselves in trouble. Another severe talking to for the Russians by Nikolai Karpov and his assistant Valentina Ogienko. He's one of the great names from Russian volleyball. It was looking a little difficult, I think it's fair to say, Simon, at one stage, but they've got themselves back into the game once again, now leading 9-5.
Yes, indeed, the Croatians had the Russians on the rack, and they let them off with service errors, and consequently that's put their hitters back under pressure, and I'm afraid Jelic has been missing the court for the moment. This time it's the Russian turn to miss the court, and that's a fine side out, desperately needed by the Croatians. Free hit almost, and that's buried because she was off balance.
Jelic it is with service.
Well, a free ball opportunity, and that should by rights have gone wide to Artemanova, but Khrushcheva choosing to go with Godina at the moment. They're obviously happy with what she's doing with the hit, and she comes out of the back line to finish that off the block. Good serve from Matutina, the captain. Goes back and just calms everything down and puts a fine service into the middle of the court. Gets that to dip in front of Kuzmanic.
And captain with service again. Now with a 5-point advantage, Russia.
Clever time delay in the middle, faking to go for the quick set, and Sebukina again benefits from one of Kirilova's great sets and turns that back past Morozova to kill.
And Zulovic now with service. Experienced player, 28 years of age, needs to make these serves count.
And a huge leap again from Artemanova outside, in all sorts of bother with that set, dropping onto the net, but look at the aggression on that, and goes straight over Kirilova for the kill.
3 of them there, none of them could stop it. The advantage is back with Russia. Morozova now with service.
Going for the hands, Kirilova there, and nothing's working for the Croatians now, and that's the problem. Although the Russians have looked a little bit pedestrian, it's the sign of a great side if you can still keep piling the points on.
11-5.
The net touch from the Croatians, unfortunately, that's just what they didn't need, and this is looking very, very ominous indeed for the Croatian side.
Timeout is called. Not the best of volleyball, certainly not as exciting as the early part, but one thing that we can confirm is that the Russians are scoring consistently, and once again have taken control of this third set.
Yes, indeed, and I think the main problem for Croatia is that Jelic has stopped hitting, and she's the only go-to hitter, she's the only cannon, and as soon as she stops, that's the Croatian side down.
Tatiana Sidorenko there for Croatia, looking a little tired, looking a little down. Well, the attack percentages 38 to 33, which is perhaps confirming our expert here in the commentary box, Simon Golding's words, is that there's only one person that the Croatians can go to attack. 15-7, 15-12, and now 12-5, 20 minutes into the third set, and Russia looking the better side once again. Morozova continues her impressive service run.
Well, Katina missing out over the sideline, and that's an unusual mistake from her. I think they've just relaxed a little bit now, the Russians, so they're going for their shots, and consequently we're going to see some errors.
Chebukina.
Oh, great ace inside the baseline, and that was a fantastic service, and that's what they've been missing through the whole of this game.
Now let's see if that can lift the morale of the Croatians now, pick their game up again.
Brilliant serving, and this time she forces it deep, and they get in a bit of a mix-up, and the consequent overfeed is played well by a backcourt setter by the looks of it, and Kirilova might possibly have been called for that one, but gets away with it.
Sebukina again with service. These are vital points for the Croatians if they're to stay alive in this European Championship.
And there, Tichenko coming on the back slide and hammering straight down, and Gracheva, to be honest, has delivered very well on that one, and that gives her a free hit.
Artemanova with service. The big powerful jump serve, up to 50 kilometers of ball speed.
Great kill again. It was my mistake on the last rally. Kirilova is in fact front court, the setter for the Croatians, so she was perfectly right to play that second touch ball. And here, finding Kuzmanic on a fine reverse C, and that's a great kill from her.
Kirilova has had a fine game. Now Sidorenko with service.
Oh, that is a thing of beauty. That is amazing. Kirilova has got so much confidence now. 31 years old, faking to hit and delivering a free ball to be murdered by Kuzmanic, and doesn't she like that one?
Well, I think faking may be the official terminology, but totally deceiving every other player on the court. And Sidorenko looks to keep Croatia in this championship match.
Oh, Jelic again with the error, and she's very upset with herself because that was a chance for conversion. She needed to go off the top of the hands, and she didn't. She hit straight down.
Well, the picture tells the story. Gracheva now with the service.
This is good. Again, Kirilova, she's got the guts to go for those sets, and Kuzmanic, she's going to go to middle hitter for her. Waits for Godina's hands and goes middle court past her. Great kill again.
Kuzmanic playing with much more confidence. It's Kirilova now with service. They're still trailing by 4, and that is another beautiful score from Kirilova. She's having a fantastic match. She will not be blamed if Croatia don't take the title here. Timeout is called.
This is a virtuoso performance by Kirilova, and I think Karpol, the Russian coach, will be kicking himself that Kirilova has gone to the Croatian side, because even at 31 years old, she looks like she's got another good 4 or 5 years of international volleyball in her.
Karpol begins the traditional screaming at his side. The Croatians are coming right back into this match. (9-12). Croatia have the advantage, but must win this set, otherwise Russia will be the European champions for the second time in this decade. The champions of 93, the bronze medalists of 95. Remember, Croatia, the silver medalists of 95. They didn't need that.
Running 2 quick attacks there, the Russians, and Chichenko again given the reverse ball and the responsibility behind to put the ball away against the one-person blocker, and does so.
Chichenko now looking to close this third and final set out for the Russians.
Well, Jelic has been found wanting. She gave it everything on that block there after failing to convert the hit, but this time it's out from Artemanova, off of her hands and over the sideline.
13 points on the board now for the Russians. Quick substitution. Nijic is now coming on, and Anzulovic is coming off. So Mijic coming on just to try and mix it up for the Croatians at the net, and also delay the service a little bit longer. Shchenko it is with service.
Jelic, I'm afraid, has blown in this game. It's a shame to see, but she's been found wanting.
Well, the next service will be for the 1997 European Championship. Jelic should not take full responsibility or all the blame upon her shoulders. Match ball from Tischenko. It's there. The European champions of 1997. Not the finest volleyball we've seen throughout this tournament, but nonetheless, a huge grudge match, an amazing amount of pressure, and Russia, who were third here in 95, the champions in 93, reigned supreme in 97. Croatia put up a great match. Perhaps the only thing that put them off their game was such a slow start. 15-7, 15-12 and 15-9. 3 sets to love. Simon, not the best of matches, but Croatia, if they could have played at the end in a way, if they could have played the way they played at the end of the beginning, it could have been a different story.
Oh, it could have been a totally different story, definitely, and it's such a shame for the Croatians because we thought they were going to give a bit more resistance than that. But we can see the Russians look so miserable on court sometimes, and with a coach shouting at you like Karpol, it's hardly surprising. But when the match is over, they were so desperate to convert their Grand Prix wins on the World League into some sort of tangible European evidence of their superiority, and they have done so, and what a fantastic win, and you can see just how much it matters to them. And rather fittingly, it's the middle block that really has told the story for their games in this championship, that finishes it for them and gives them the win.
It is. Congratulations to Russia, commiserations to Croatia, because for me this competition, dynamic and entertaining from start to finish.
Absolutely, hitters couldn't come through for her.
Russia will now go on to the World Championships as next year as one of the teams to watch out for, getting the better of Croatia, host nation Czech Republic, claiming the bronze medal. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage of these European Championships from the Czech Republic. It's now time to say goodbye, and once again, congratulations to Russia. Many thanks to Simon Golding, and in particular the Brockenhurst College for having him over here in Paris on loan, and from both myself, Nick Fellows, and Simon Golding, with Russia the European champions of 1997, it's goodbye for now.